So you wrote this book, The Christian Man and Pornography: Why Most Fail But Can Succeed.
Absolutely.
Can you please, like, just clarify that? Like, can you understand? Help me understand why it's so important to talk about pornography, because it is taboo.
Absolutely. So we talk about all types of sin. We talk about all types of issues
Yeah.
in the church setting. And typically, I can remember hearing a lot of sermons, or you can look up a lot of sermons talking about substance abuse, drug abuse,
Yeah.
stepping outside of marriage, adultery, things like that. But
Yeah.
people don't really talk a lot about pornography.
Mm.
And it's probably because it's something that is personal.
Okay.
It's something that is prevalent. It's something that, for me, in any circle that I've talked about it, from my youth until my age now, whether it be in school, whether it be in business,
Yeah.
the conversation of sex has come up. And when I've been transparent with other men, they've been transparent with me.
That was one word that was in your bio, that transparency was what it took to write it.
Absolutely. And if I'm honest, this was a secret of mine, something
Really?
that I struggled with privately,
Yeah.
until God gave me solutions and gave me courage to begin sharing the story.
How long did you struggle with it? Because,
Yes.
well, let me ask you this question first. Where did the pain come from to turn to pornography? Because everybody who's addicted to anything is coming from a certain kind of pain. So where did the pain come from? What happened to you, or what happened that you saw, whatever, that made you lead to pornography? To an addiction. Let's call it an addiction. 'Cause it is an addiction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. People forget that, though.
Absolutely.
They think it's just, people think it's just something that, he'll grow out of it or she'll grow out of it, but it's not. It's an addiction. It can destroy your mind.
Exactly.
So tell me where it started for you.
Absolutely. So I did some thinking about this. Lord, what was the open door? What was the foothold that led to pornography?
Yeah.
And for me, it was the fear of rejection. And I had to really analyze that. And I guess the fear of rejection. So I talk about this in the book in 8th grade, when I was 13, 14. I was in a group of guys, and it was the last day of school, and the guys were talking about pornography. They were talking about performing sexual acts on women and things like that, and I became uncomfortable. And one of the guys in the circle picked up on the fact that I was uncomfortable and pointed me out, saying, Norman, not like you don't know what we're talking about. I'm sure you've seen pornography or, masturbated or something like that, to that nature. Yeah. And at that point in my life, I hadn't. So I was trying to, find a way to get the attention off of me. And but at the same time, I'm in 8th grade. I'm 13, 14, and trying to make sure that I'm perceived as being accepted. You have that factor of peer pressure, and so that really concerned me. And even though the conversation was over, even though the 8th grade was over, and I would be going to the 9th grade, that conversation formed in my mind, and it continued. Yeah, and so as I continued to replay that, curiosity won out. I began to start, for me, it started with movies that I know. Parents would tell me to change the television station, if there was a sex scene that would come up. I found myself becoming a little more curious, and so I wasn't as quick to change the channel. And obviously, you can see how it started to snowball from there.
Yeah. And was it always masturbation with it, or did it start off from watching and then masturbation?
The two were actually, masturbation started before. Yeah, so
it probably got more intense when pornography came to place.
Absolutely.
And how long were you addicted?
About 15 years.
15 years. And what age?
Started at age 13 or 14.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm 30 now.
Okay. When did it stop? When did you become clean?
At age 29.
Okay.
So with that, there was a lot of shame. Shame because I was a church leader.
Yeah.
I was, my pastor. My parents were church leaders.
Pastor, yeah.
And my dad eventually became a pastor and things of that nature. And I didn't want to let them down, even though secretly I knew that I was letting them down.
Did that eat you up inside?
It challenged me, and it got me in a place of wanting to be free, but not knowing how to share that with them. So when you talk about people having Achilles heels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people, for them, it's drinking. For some people, it's sexual in nature. For some people, it could be eating. It could be whatever it is that you named. And so pornography and masturbation was my Achilles heel.
Because you were scared of rejection.
Because I was scared of the rejection. Absolutely.
Taboo. Why is it so taboo in the church community?
Because, again, I believe it's so prevalent. So there's research right now out there that says, self-reported research, that says that 67% of men in church deal with issues of pornography.
Wow.
And this was research done by Barna Group for Covenant Eyes. And Covenant Eyes is a program that allows men to go from, become free from pornography. And now we both know that 67% of self-reported is probably underreported.
More than that.
It's much more than that. And a lot of it goes back to the shame of that. I talked to a guy that's he's a college pastor, so he's a campus pastor for a college ministry, and he made a statement to me. He said, "We just assume that every guy that comes into our ministry now has either been introduced to pornography or watches pornography," and that's a huge statement. He went on to say that the average age for introduction for young men into pornography is 8, and for girls that are exposed to pornography, it's at age 11. Which is huge. And I personally think that a lot of people don't talk about it is because it's a prevalent issue in the church, and pastors are dealing with it. And that same
shame.
The shame with
shame
it.
And
the
vulnerability, the lack of vulnerability.
Right. So how can I talk about, and I'm not going to assume that every pastor is dealing with this issue, because not every pastor is, but if I'm dealing with this, if my church leadership is also dealing with these issues and issues related to sex, then how can I effectively preach about something that I am struggling with? Because people turn to pornography for different reasons. Some people could be the rejection in childhood. Some people, definitely. It could be expectations or missed expectations inside of a marriage.
Or in some cases too, it could be the lack of self-love too.
Absolutely.
You don't love yourself enough, then you can't go out there and pursue a female or a male. So you turn to porn because that porn's going to accept you, whether you're fat or you're ugly or you're pretty. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And you can have, like you said, you can have that acceptance. And it's amazing that even when you watch pornography, that it's tailored for that type of person. The way the person on the opposite side of the screen, whoever's conducting or orchestrating that, they understand the type of their audience.
They're just as broken as we are, the people on the screen.
Absolutely. They're just as broken.
They're probably on a different level than we are.
Absolutely. Oh
my gosh.
Well, I mean, even I'm saying the people that are profiting from this.
It's a multi-billion-dollar company.
Absolutely.
I mean, a business.
Absolutely.
Pornography is a multi-billion-dollar business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it is the only business that has more diseases, that creates diseases in people, right?
Absolutely.
Spiritually and mentally.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So let me ask